3, 2, 1, fire.
Hey, welcome to It's Your Call. I am your host, John Milkey. Some call me the Milkman. Some don't call me at all, and that's okay. You're tuned in, and that's really what matters. Have a look at some of the podcast numbers. Very encouraging. It appears that you are okay with me sitting in a room talking by myself every single day, and you're enjoying it to some degree. So thank you. I appreciate that very, very much. Listen, hopefully we latch onto a topic here and there that will inspire you to call the show. Because I really think that, we are sorely lacking in one-on-one conversation in this world. Lowell and I discussed that on his last show, in fact. And that's kind of why I've, decided to carry this on. We need to have more conversations. So this is my never-ending hunt for common ground on some of the big issues of the day. And I call it It's Your Call. Here's the number, 613-604-6464. You can call or you can text, or you can even appear via video if you prefer. I remembered to do this today. I'm so proud of myself. A little pat on the back for me. If you go to itsyourcall.ca, ITS Your Call, remember there's no apostrophes in a website address. So itsyourcall.ca. You can click the little camera icon there and you can appear via video. And if that makes you uncomfortable but you want to be heard, fine. Turn your camera off, leave your microphone on. We can have a conversation that way. Let's see. We got F. Van Boxtel. You change your name every single time you join the show. I know you as Hein. He says, "G'day, John." All right. So we've got him tuned in. We've got you tuned in as well. I see 40 people logged on right now. So let's get to it. Today here's the question. I'll just get right to the topic. Are you, as a Canadian taxpayer, are you okay spending $58.75 million a year for the monarchy? And look, we've had this conversation many times, and my recollection or my impression is most people, not exclusively, but most people are okay remaining as part of the monarchy. I think most of us want to have a conversation and sort of take that to a different place than it's in right now. But by and large, I think most of us are okay being part of the monarchy. Well, there's an answer from Kathy right off the bat. No. Okay, Kathy, hear me out. $58.7 million is apparently what we spent on the monarchy here in Canada in 2019-2020, that fiscal year. This according to an Access to Information report released by CTV. All right. The costs associated, those costs are associated with operating the Governor General's office mostly, including overseas trips. We've discussed that at length. The salaries and expenses of provincial lieutenant governors, royal tours. It works out, by the way, in case you're wondering, it works out to roughly $1.55 per Canadian per year to have the monarchy, to be part of the monarchy. That's us footing the bill for all the expenses, the Governor General, royal visits, etc. About $1.55 a year. Okay. Now, to compare that, if you're a British citizen, you are paying more. And keep in mind, of course, the King and Queen Consort and all the royals do live in the UK. So our British counterparts are paying $2.10 for the crown. $1.55 here, $2.10 per citizen there. All right. Marcia says, "Hi, John. Time to modernize our system. We no longer need a monarchy and a bloated office of the Governor General." Okay, Marcia. I would love to hear how you picture a new government for our country then. How does it work? Do we become a republic? Do we become like the United States of America? What's your vision for that? Back to Hein, he says, being part of the Commonwealth has its privileges, and privilege costs money. Yeah, it's $1.55 per Canadian per year. Now, we spent a little more recently because King Charles, he was still prince then, and Camilla, their 3-day royal tour of Canada cost us $1.4 million. Now, by comparison, last time that Charles and Camilla were here was 2017. The cost of Canadian heritage then was about $1 million less. $487,660 for their tour in 2017, $1.4 million for their tour this past year. That's the cost to us. So they visited Newfoundland, Ontario, and the Northwest Territories. They were here for 57 hours, so a little longer than 2 days. And it breaks down to be about $25,000 an hour when the king and queen consort were here. Of course, they were prince and... Was she princess? You get it. And you probably know more about that than I do, which is why I'm asking you. So the $1.4 million, by the way, does not include government, military, police salaries, normal operational costs, people who would have been on the job anyway. So that's above and beyond. But we're paying for that anyway. All right. It does, however, include overtime, fleets of vehicles, VIP flights, armed security paid for by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Paid for by us. Paid for by the Department of National Defense. Paid for by us. Paid for by Canadian Heritage. That's paid for by us. And the federal department that they are the federal department that oversaw the trip and all of its planning. So that was the cost to us. National Defense footed the bill, by the way, for Charles and Camilla's air transportation to, from, and within Canada. So, hey, National Defense gets their money from us again. So that's an additional $568,000. So we're flying them around the country once they're here. Same jet the Prime Minister uses. All right. No, says Bill, time to move on. Elizabeth should have been our last royal, become a republic, no king, no governor general, no lieutenant governor, and an elected Senate. Laura, nice to see you. She says the elimination of the monarchy would open up many uncomfortable constitutional debates that this country is not capable of having right now. Yes, that would be fascinating in all the wrong ways, wouldn't it, Laura? If we can't figure out how to get bouncy castles off Parliament Hill and off Wellington Street, how do we deal with that? Right? Kind of where you're going. I get it. All right. Marcia says a republic sounds good and a system where we can vote for the office of president. You like that, do you? Okay. All right. Listen, I'm not agreeing. I'm not disagreeing. I want your input. I want to just have this conversation. 613-604-6464. Ann says, even if I'm not okay with it, it would be impossible to get all the provinces to agree to abolish the monarchy as part of our setup here. So I see it as a non-starter question or issue. All right. Well, the question I am asking you is, are you okay spending $58.75 million a year for the monarchy? Now, outside of the salaries, just to run down the tab for you. By the way, there are a good number of government agencies that are still tabulating the totals. That fascinates me. They were here in the summer, and they're still trying to do the math on this. Hello? Like, if you've ever submitted an invoice for anything, have you ever waited, 4 or 5 months? Because I can't do the math. Anyway, outside of the salaries, the RCMP spent $172,175 on overtime and $189,156 on travel expenditures like meals, accommodation, and transportation. So a total for the RCMP above and beyond $361,331. All right, here's the actual breakdown. $509 and some odd dollars spent by Canadian Heritage included at least $221,634 on travel and hospitality costs like flights, accommodation, meals, and per diems. I think we can probably, based on the evidence that we've seen on how they spend money just flying to Saudi Arabia on one trip, I think we can probably save a couple of bucks if we put some spending limits in place there. Just a suggestion. More than $11,453 on fleets of rental cars, taxis, and buses. they're kind of at the mercy of the rental places. And look, cars are hard to come by right now. If you tried to rent a car this past summer, you know you were paying an exorbitant amount of money. So it sounds like a lot. It probably is a lot. It is a lot, and probably more than we would ordinarily spend. But based on market conditions, okay. More than $11,496 in overtime for just 3 employees. Now, I don't know what these employees do. That's not specified. Again, this is from a access to information request from CTV. They've got the report on it. So 3 employees, overtime, 11 grand, $3,832 each. Again, I don't know what they do. Maybe that's a bargain. I don't know. I've never earned $3,832 in overtime. I don't think I've ever earned that in a month in salary, if I'm being honest. Okay, maybe. Close. Oh, by the way, Ottawa's Lord Elgin Hotel, $6,404. Again, the question that we're asking today is, are you okay with spending $58.75 million a year on the Monarchy as a Canadian? $5,287, by the way, for scores of COVID-19 rapid tests. That's a lot of rapid tests. Over $3,500 for image copyrights. Interesting. $2,945 for printing services. That sounds like a bargain to me, actually. That's pretty inexpensive for, an event like that. And other costs, flowers, medical, personal protective equipment, VIP agency services and gifts. Oh, yes. And let's not forget somebody, I love this, $283.40 on audio-visual services for an event at Rideau Hall. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm that poor sucker who gets roped into these events, seeing all these big bills for $200,000 and $300,000. I'm the guy making $283.40 to videotape a thing. It's always the way it goes. So I'm kind of chuckling at it, but I'm also kind of not. $58.75 million for the Monarchy. All right, 613-604-6464. You can text the show. You can call the show. Anne says, right now, Canada has a multitude of problems that need immediate attention, so let's put getting rid of the Monarchy at the bottom of the list. Meantime, set a maximum budget minus the boogie trips by the Governor General. I don't even know if that's a typo, but boogie trips, I love that. JT and the Governor General spend more than that, says Donald. Let's go back to Hein, who says, if Justin Trudeau had his way for election reform, eliminate first past the post in favor of representation by population, we wouldn't be in this mess we're in now because Justin Trudeau would not have become prime minister. Tony is on YouTube. Our first comment from YouTube. Tony, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. I have to agree. The monarchy should have ended with Queen Elizabeth II. Charles is not worthy of the throne. Okay, but that's not the question. The question is, are you okay spending what we're spending? We are part of the monarchy, right? We are not in a situation right now to open up, the debate and figure out a new form of government. The will isn't there, and as Laura said, what a crap show that would be. So we have to deal with reality. Okay, so you're the taxpayer. You're the one footing the bill. You're the one who pays the MP salaries. You're the one that pays the salaries of the prime minister. You're the one who pays the salaries of the public service. You're the one who pays the salaries of the Senate. Are you looking at that price tag at $1.55 per Canadian per year for the monarchy? And granted, they don't visit every single year. Is it too much? Would you like to set some sort of spending limits on it? What should that spending limit be? And what would you okay, and here's another question. What would you rather see the difference? So, okay, if it's 50, what's the number? 58.75. So if we cut that in half conservatively and said, okay, $27 million a year for the monarchy, I'm prepared to spend that. Where do you want to take that other $27 million and put it? What's your priority? Let's have that conversation. 613-604-6464. I'm okay spending some money for the monarchy, yet the Liberals would prefer to let us eat cake. The extravagant spending by our current government has to stop. All right, Peter says the whole federal government needs to be put on a budget. Canadians have to, so should every top level of government. Well, they do have budgets, Peter. And if you don't spend your budget, you lose the budget. So you best spend your budget, because that's how the real world works, right? It's insane. I get it. Tony, a direct answer to my question. Thank you, Tony. And I'm being, devil's advocate a little bit, but that is the question that we've got on the table today. No, he says, $58.75 million a year. He says that's money wasted. Okay, so then what? Does the monarchy then, should they be responsible for their own security? Should they be paying the cost? Hey, let's flip things to the other way. Okay, so our prime minister, we know somebody spent $6,000 a night staying in some luxury suite in London when the prime minister and the entourage went for Her Majesty's funeral. Okay, that's been a hot topic of debate. If we're over there, should the British not be footing the bill? We footed the bill for the entourage to stay at the Lord Elgin, apparently, and other hotels, I'm sure. Should that not be reciprocated on the other side? Is it? I don't know. Chris Fraser, good to hear from you. The monarchy, he says, is an integral part of our heritage, and I'm okay with $1.50, and it's $1.55, Chris. I don't know if that changes your mind or not. It's 5 cents more than you were saying. He says, I'm okay with $1.50 annually from my pocket going to maintain those ties. All right, fair enough. Thank you. An honest answer to the question. I appreciate that. Yeah, when you break it down like that, $1.55, it's not a huge cost. I would be curious, what do the Americans pay on an annual basis just for protection of just those in the Oval Office? So we're talking the president, vice president, Speaker of the House, immediate family members. I don't have anything in front of me to say otherwise, but I'm quite confident that it would be more than $1.55 a year per American. So, but I'd like to be able to compare apples to apples. And says, I'm not okay with us paying that much for the monarchy if that is what I have to answer. You don't have to answer. I'm just, that is the question. That's kind of what we're getting. That's the topic, right? So we're trying to get to the bottom of that. Okay, so you're not okay with that. And that's a great answer to the question because it's your answer to the question. Thank you very much. So we're kind of split down the middle here. Dog bones. Where do they come up with these ridiculous numbers anyway? It should have ended with Confederation. Well, they get the ridiculous numbers from the invoices that are submitted from all of those who were involved in the tour. That's where they get the numbers, and they, that's the bill that you and I have to pay for. No different than any other service that, provides, or any other business that provides a service to the government. Tony, back on YouTube, anyone know what the wealth of the monarchy is? Significant. Significant, absolutely significant. But should they be footing their own bill? Or, look, they're coming here. And listen, when the US president, when the British prime minister, when other dignitaries, other leaders of other countries come here, we're on the hook for that. Don't kid yourself. That costs us money. And again, I believe it's reciprocated when we go there. But okay, if it's reciprocated, then it begs the question, why are we even having a conversation about this $6,000 a night room that the prime minister's entourage apparently chose to, pay on our, with our dollars when attending the Queen's funeral? All right, 613-604-6464. This person says, keep the monarchy. Okay. So I take it then you are okay with your $1.55 a year going to the monarchy. That's how I'll interpret that. All right. Glenn Harris, back to you, sir. He says, if it costs Canadians $1.55 plus or minus per person for monarchy, he put that in quotes, and we get next to nothing, and the Brits pay $2.50 for quote-unquote monarchy, and they get something, the monarchy, why should we pay so much and get zip? Well, the monarchy, though, don't forget, Glenn, does include our governor general and all things that go along with the governor general. All right. Mary Simon is our current governor general. She is the representative here in Canada of the monarchy. She is supposed to be reporting and in contact constantly with King Charles on all things Canadian. And yes, it's kind of a token position, but that's what we're paying for. We're paying for that office to exist. We're paying for all the things that go along with that. The changing of the guard, for example, would be part of that, would it not? and on and on and on. I'm sure that the provincial lieutenant governors, who are the Queen's representative to each province, would also, be under that bill. Peter says the president of the U.S. pays for their own food at the White House. Use of Air Force One when used as a personal use, example, election stuff. White House meals that the president eats, First Lady pays out of personal pocket. But if it's an official function, example, state dinner, the U.S. taxpayers pay for it. Interesting. Okay. All right. Yeah. Do you think Justin Trudeau has paid his own grocery bill at all in the last few years? Just asking. Renee, I'm fine spending the money for the monarchy. All right. So I think the vote is kind of in favor right now of, yeah, I'm okay with that. Craig says the monarchy plays two roles in Canada, constitutional and ceremonial. Yes, absolutely. Much of Canada's constitution is based on unwritten customs and traditions. The Queen, now King Charles, possesses emergency powers that are there to be used by the Crown if need be, such as refusing royal assent or dismissing a government. Thank you, Craig. Always good to hear from you. Anne says, I'm not okay with paying for the governor general, but it is what we currently have. Hell, we don't even have a house for the prime minister to live in, yet the governor general has some nice digs. Yes, that's a great point, Anne. And listen, the governor general has nice enough digs that she was able to open up the Rideau Cottage on her grounds so that the prime minister can have his official residence right there on the same grounds as her neighbor. But yeah, what we talked about that a couple of weeks ago, what to do with 24 Sussex. I believe they have finally come to the conclusion. The NCC has finally stepped up. And shouldn't that be the NCC's decision anyway? So it just, regardless of who is the prime minister of the day, right? Whether it's a conservative, an NDP, a liberal prime minister, regardless, it should be the NCC has determined this building is not fit anymore, and it needs to be their decision. And not a prime minister making the decision that, yeah, here's what we should do. Replace it, because it's going to look bad. And that's why it hasn't had any updates. No prime minister wants to be seen spending money on the residence that the prime minister lives in. I get it. Now, Harrington Lake, yeah, let's put in a new pool. Let's put in a new kitchen. Nobody's looking, right? That sort of seems to be the case. Anne says, nope, sorry, Anne, read your comment already. Let's see, Peter, if you would like to hear Anne's comment again, please listen on the podcast channels. By the way, the show, It's Your Call, is brought to you by McCarthy Automotive. If you are looking for great service for your vehicle, old school service, honest service, if you need your nuts torqued, that's a fun little inside thing with us in McCarthy Automotive. Look, I've fallen in love with their service. I am big on personal service. I like seeing the same faces. I like seeing the same people in any aspect of if I'm spending money somewhere. I like going to the same, the same drugstore for the, to see the same, pardon me, to see the same people there, et cetera, same grocery store, the same faces, et cetera. Same thing with McCarthy Automotive. It's that familiarity. I know I have built up a relationship. I know I have built up trust. And you know what? That happens almost instantly because that's just how they do business. It's a family-owned operation. The people who work for them are people who work with them. They are friends in real life. They get it, and they'll take great care of you. And if you're running fleet vehicles, there's a reason why when you drive past McCarthy Automotive, you will see some of the biggest names, and their vehicles parked out front. Their fleet vehicles are being serviced at McCarthy Automotive. From winter tire changeovers, tire storage, you need new tires, they will set you up. Tell them that we sent you here on BTR and the Milkman Show. 1150 Heron Road, McCarthyAutomotive.ca. All right, back to your comments. Peter says, Justin Trudeau pays for nothing out of pocket. That's one reason he loves to keep the job. A millionaire living a billionaire life. That's almost poetic, Peter. I appreciate that. Thank you. Chrissy's on Twitch, twitch.tv/BTR radio. Chrissy says, can only imagine the dinners the Trudeaus have. Grey Poupon all around. I'm fine as well, spending the $1.55 for the monarchy. Yeah, it sounds, it sounds like a lot. $58.75 million a year for the monarchy. And then you do the math. And at $1.55, it's hard to be too terribly upset about it. I listen, I give or take the monarchy, depending on how you feel about it. At at this point in time, there are certainly things we spend. I mean, that's well, hey, when I was at the vet the other night, it was more than $1.55 just for a can of pop. I'm not even gonna lie. So there's that. All right, to Kathy, she says, "Heck no, we got billed for Trudeau's and the family's groceries $7,000 plus per month." Yeah, so we seem to have gone down a bit of a rabbit hole that I wasn't intending on going down with that. So again, the question is, are you okay spending $58.75 million a year for the monarchy? Because the last trip was $1 million more than the trip previously. Again, in 2022, $1.4 million for a 57-hour visit from, he wasn't even king then, and she was not the queen consort, but Charles and Camilla. In 2017, when they were here, $487,660. But at the end of the day, it averages out to $1.55 per Canadian. And just an informal little, here's a comment from the States. By the way, if you're calling, I'm sorry, I didn't give the American number out. If you're listening to the States, I don't know if you have international charges. Feel free to use my number in the States, 941-725-6455. That's 941-725-MILK. This person says, yes, I'm fine to pay $1.50 to keep it. Sure don't want to see Justin Trudeau become King Trudeau. What does the $58 million go to? Well, we went through that a little bit. The CTV report is on the CTV website. If you want to have a little deeper dive on that, and I will text you back with the link to that, but it is on the CTV website. Last word to Eric. He says, keep the monarchy. Who knows? The king just may dethrone Justin Trudeau. That would be worth my $1.55. Well, I don't foresee that happening unless we end up in some sort of crisis situation. And as crazy and nutty as things seem to have gotten, I don't think we're at that point yet. All right. Seems we're kind of quiet in the comments. That's okay. I know you're busy. I know there's World Cup of Soccer going on. It's a Christmas season, etc. I'm happy to talk to you for a half hour or more or slightly less every single day. We do it for you here on BTR Radio or blasttheradio.com. It's your call. Back tomorrow.